What is up, everybody? Can you hear my voice? Can you hear the guitar? Let me know if you can hear the microphone. love this tone. Just trying to warm up, get my hands warmed up a little bit. I just came up here to play some guitar tonight. Thought I'd connect with you guys and see what you're up to and jam some guitar, talk some guitar, teach some guitar, play some guitar, talk about guitars, whatever. Such a cool tone. All right, we got a good question so far. Please excuse me if I'm like sniffling and stuff. I'm still getting over a cold this week, so hopefully I'm not doing that into the microphone too much. But all right, Jordan says, how do you approach creating a solo that feels both technically impressive and emotionally impactful? It's a great question. Okay, that's an absolutely great question. When I'm soloing or improvising, I'm going to talk about improvising just because that's usually my approach. I'm far, far less concerned about it being technically impressive than I am about it being emotionally impactful. Just turning down my mic a little bit. The technically impressive doesn't really matter, to be honest. The stuff that does seem technically impressive is only added in if it musically makes sense, if it's adding to the context of the piece. So what I'm playing right now, I don't think is technically impressive in the sense of like, wow, look at him go. That's pretty wild stuff, right? But I'm just trying to connect with the music and the context and make something that sounds nice, right? So there are some situations where it calls for higher intensity playing and you can throw in the technically impressive stuff, but it's not thrown in to be technically impressive. It's thrown in because it kind of musically makes sense, right? So if you throw it in for technical showcase, then you will almost automatically lose that emotional connection within the music, which in my opinion is not worth it, right? So sometimes you could throw in a fast run as like a crescendo or a build up or something like that, but it kind of has to have a purpose. It has to have a reason that you're doing that, right? It all depends on the situation though. So like right now as I'm warming up, I'm actually enjoying playing a little more nuanced, right? Just picking the notes and using dynamics and timing and even the effect itself of the reverb and delay. I don't know if I have delay. No, but I have some reverb. If I turn on some delay, that will be part of it too. I'll show you what I mean. You can use that sound and space and dynamic to your disposal. Right. So that kind of tone and sound and space that the tone has is kind of helping me get that nuance. I'm not saying it would sound bad without it, but if I took off the echo and reverb, that's what it sounds like. I think most of us would agree that the first one sounded better, right? So even the tone and the effects you're using can help actually get that emotional feel or that musical expression that you're looking for. Hopefully that makes sense. What I'm using right now for the tone is the Soldano plugin from Neural DSP. And it's actually just a preset. It's called Warm and Clean. It's just a regular preset from it. And I haven't actually touched it at all. Or I turned on the delay, but if I turn off the delay, it sounds great. It's really, really nice. This is usually what I use for my tone if I'm not using my Victory amp behind me there. Which right now, late at night, we're not using the Victory amp. Yeah, the reverb is super nice. Sounds super nice. Yeah, to answer your question, Jordan, with David Gilmour, Uncomfortably Numb, and you said not shredding, but really emotional. He's not shredding. He's not doing anything like crazy fast, but he's matching the context of the music. He's matching the feel and the mood and the tonality of the music so perfectly. That's what really creates this kind of like emotional sound. I'm not saying anything to take away from David Gilmour. Like that's a masterpiece solo, but it's not the fact that he's not shredding that makes it emotional. You could have put in Guthrie Govan, Dimebag Darrell. Who else am I thinking of? Even like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like he shreds. Stevie Ray Vaughan shreds. And they could have made a really like impactful emotional solo at a faster pace. It's not the pacing that makes it emotional or not, but it's the intent behind the notes. It's the musical expression, right? I was meaning to make a video on this recently where speed and feel are two completely different things, unrelated things. You can have a fast solo that is boring. There's many examples of that. You can also have a fast solo that is of really high intensity that could give you goosebumps. But you could have a slow solo that is boring as anything. And you could have a slow solo that gives you goosebumps and just makes you feel every single note. So it's really what you do with the notes. If you look at a lot of classical music, you know, Vivaldi's stuff and Bach's pieces and Beethoven's pieces and everything, like there's plenty of speed there. There's plenty use of fast notes, but that music, you don't get the sense that they're doing it just to play fast or just to showcase fast notes, but it's like the musical intent, the context, it works, right? So you can do interesting solos at any speed, essentially. Usually with David Gilmour, like a lot of Pink Floyd stuff is a bit more chill, right? I would argue, though, like Jimmy Page in Since I've Been Loving You, that is a fairly chill song, but that's one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. And that solo gives me absolute goosebumps. That solo just makes me, I feel every single note and every expression, but it's not Jimmy Page trying to show you how fast he can play. He's giving you that intensity. He's giving you that passion, right? And personally, I would argue that solo has as much feel and emotion in it as Comfortably Numb. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer and talk about stuff, teach stuff, jam to some backing tracks. I'm starting to slowly get warmed up here, which is nice. All right, give me one quick second here. All right. I forgot before I started the stream that I turned on my little heater in this room, and heats up real quick. Isn't technique more important before you can really play with feel, as it limits your ability to play difficult pieces? I would agree. I always say that technique should be in everyone's practice routine, not because you should play fast or you should do any of that, or if you practice sweep picking, then your solo needs to include sweep picking. I would usually advise against that. But you want to practice technique so that you eliminate physical obstacles, so that any musical idea you have, anything you want to get across on the guitar, you can execute it. You have the hand synchronization, the speed, and just the overall technique, whatever it is. You have to develop that, right? And then, yes, when you do play, if you are trying to do a great solo and convey a musical idea, you don't want to be thinking about every little technique. You want that to become fairly second nature, where you can now focus on expression. Music is extremely similar to every other language. So when I'm talking to you guys, I'm focusing more on what I'm trying to communicate and what I'm trying to say. I'm not actually worrying about the pronunciation of every single word, or how you say certain words, or if it's a verb or a noun or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just using the language to communicate to you guys. It's the same thing musically. You want to get your scales, your theory, your technique, everything that you learn at your disposal, so that then you can use it musically, right? And then you can use it to create music. I honestly believe that if anything's approached from a pure theory standpoint, meaning like, I'm going to write a song in this scale and show off this new fancy scale I know, it can be done. It can be interesting. But if it's not done to sound nice, then it's not going to have that impact. Same with the technique. If I wanted to write a song to show off my sweep picking, if I'm not focused on trying to make it musical and make it sound nice, then it's just going to sound like someone showing off sweep picking, right? And it's not usually going to be something to listen to. So hopefully that makes sense. But you want to learn all that stuff, technique and theory and all that kind of stuff, so that you can just express yourself with the instrument. Yes, that takes a ton of practice, of course, but that's the ultimate goal. Oh, here's a real tough question. If it wasn't Kiesel, what would be your guitar of choice? This is a tough one. This is really tough. I genuinely mean this. I genuinely mean this, that Kiesel is the only guitar company I would endorse. Um, it, anyone else could offer me any sort of endorsement. I wouldn't be interested because I wouldn't want to be kind of pigeonholed to their models and their types of guitars. You know, I kind of like to play a mixture of everything, and with Kiesel you have that. So I don't know if you guys can see it behind me there, the Type X guitar in the corner. Like, you can have that guitar built, and then you can have like a Les Paul style guitar built, both of like crazy high craftsmanship from the same company. So it's like, that's so cool. I can have a headless 7-string in the shape of an X. And then I can have a fairly traditional Les Paul style guitar with some modern features. That's pretty cool. And then I can have this, which is a beautiful super strat. But if I couldn't play Kiesel, for super strats, I would go Ibanez. I used to play Ibanez before Kiesel. But honestly, nowadays, this would probably surprise some people. Nowadays, it would probably be Gibson Les Pauls. I'm not going to lie. I would probably, like, if I had to pick a non-Kiesel guitar that I would use the majority of the time, I'd probably go Gibson Les Pauls. I do love Gibson Les Pauls. Even more than the Ibanez's, if I could only choose one, surprisingly. But yeah, I would probably play. Now, I do think if I was stuck to a Gibson Les Paul, then it would limit certain things in my playing. But there is something special about that guitar that I like, that design and style and sound and all that kind of stuff. Oh, nice. You have a Carvin. Very nice. I never played a Carvin. The very first Kiesel guitar I ever played was the Jason Becker Numbers guitar that I bought. That was my very first time playing and experiencing a Kiesel, and I absolutely love it. And it's just it's a beautiful guitar. Yeah. Okay, here's a great question. Hi, Jamie. I'm curious how you think of playing with modes. Do you draw on a library of licks to go to the sound of certain mode, or do you actually sort of anchor yourself into that new mode? Okay, so I've made a couple videos on modes, and there is one on my Patreon page that is like a full crash course of modes, and I'll give you the rundown here, but you know, feel free to check that out if it interests you. There's two uses for modes on the guitar. There's really just two uses. And your modes, I'll try to make this quick, but modes, modes I could go on for an hour and a half talking about modes. I do think they're a vital part to your vocabulary as a guitar player. So I think they're really, really important to learn. And I think a lot of guitar players get stuck on modes where they may understand them from a slight theory perspective, but they don't really know how to apply it and use it and take advantage of it. Two uses for modes. One is just to expand your fretboard. And so what I mean by that is if I'm playing in the key of C, and if I play my C major scale like this, instead of just being stuck right there and I'm trying to solo or create a melody, I can use the different modes, the different positions of the major scale by moving up each time. To expand my fretboard and give me more of the fretboard to use in that key. Now, in that instance, if I'm playing over a C progression, all of those positions are just going to sound like C major across the fretboard. So that entire time, I'm really just playing different positions. Yes, they are technically the different modes as you move around, but I'm really just playing in different positions of C. The whole time I'm just in the key of C around the fretboard. A fair amount of guitar players understand that, and they get to that point with modes. The part that a lot of people miss is that there is a difference, and I've done a couple videos on this on Patreon and such. So if it interests you, sign up for a free trial and you can check them out. But there is a difference between C major and D Dorian, which would be the next mode. Now, for those of you who don't know, those two scales have the exact same notes, identical notes. I'm just starting on C or I'm starting on D. No sharps and flats, same notes. So again, if I'm playing over C, I can use both of those. And it just sounds like C major the whole time. But if I'm actually anchored around the D, which would be a minor in this case, so as you can hear, there's no C. It's D. Notice how D sounds like home now. D is home. So you're hearing more of a D Dorian sound than you are hearing C major. It doesn't really sound like C major anymore. It sounds like D Dorian, right? So again, it's the same scale, it's the same key, but it's all about what you hear as your home, right? So for each of the 7 modes, they're going to have their own distinct sound and their own distinct flavor. So if you're writing music or if you're playing in certain styles of music, you're going to gravitate to certain modes more than others. If you're in a heavy metal band, you're probably not going to be playing in the major scale very often, but you're going to be using darker modes like Phrygian. That scale gives you a naturally darker sound than, say, the major scale or some of the other modes, right? So that would be the 2 uses for modes, is to expand your fretboard within a key, and then to use each individual mode for its own distinct flavor and to really exploit the mood and the tonality of that mode, if that makes sense. Joe Satriani is a very modal player, so you can hear in a lot of his music that a song is based in mixed Lydian, or it's based in Lydian, or it's based in harmonic minor, or whatever, right? And he really exploits the sound of that scale in the chord progression, because again, it depends what you're playing over, and then of course in the melody to kind of get that sound. That was a very quick crash course in modes, but hopefully that made sense. Time for a sip from my giant water bottle here. Oh, nice. You have the DC from Kiesel. I've always looked at that one. I think that model is absolutely gorgeous. I haven't tried one. I haven't played one, but beautiful looking guitar, especially if you get the, is it the binding? Yeah, I guess it would be like the binding edges look really nice on that model, and obviously neck through, which is nice. Do you guys like neck through, or do you prefer bolt on? If you guys have any opinions. Antique ash, nice. Yeah. I love this guitar. That just turned out beautifully. That's crazy. That's the thing with Kiesels too, is like in the builder, it's so cool how you get to see what they would look like ahead of time. You have an idea of what it's going to look like, but I haven't seen a Kiesel in real life, that doesn't look like way better than the builder even looked. So it's like in the builder, this looked really cool. And then when you see it in person, it's just like, oh my God, that thing's gorgeous. Especially the fingerboard. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, there you go. Flame roasted maple. That's just like, it's wild. It's crazy looking. I'm jealous if you get to go to the showroom. I've never been. I want to go. I want to hang out there and try some stuff out. Jealous. All right, let's do some playing so that my fingers don't freeze up on me here. Let's see what this one's about here. This is what I do a lot in my practice time, by the way, is just pull up random backing tracks and try to play to it and have some fun and see what comes out. Trying to find one that I'm like in the mood for. Let's see what this is like. Elevated backing tracks, by the way. distortion. Oh, let's get it. That was nice. I like that one. He's always got great backing tracks, elevated backing tracks, or elevated jam tracks, sorry. So much fun to play over. Yeah, I was just having fun improvising. Here's an interesting question. Can we force a chord progression to sound modal even if it wasn't originally? Like if we're playing over a progression in C major, can we force it to sound C Lydian just through the solo? Yes. Yes and no. So there are some chord progressions where it's actually not clear what key it's in. And what I mean by that is if I'm playing G and C, and I don't play anything else, right? Just those two chords. They could be in either key. You could be in the key of C, or you could be in the key of G. So in the song, you'd probably, if there isn't anything to indicate that it's in one key versus the other, sometimes the vocal melody would indicate it, or the bass line, or just even the general harmony would indicate that it's actually more in C than it is in G. If it doesn't do that, then it's actually up to you to decide what key it's in, right? You could be in the key of G, you could be in the key of C. I heard a story about that years ago, that Lynyrd Skynyrd, I don't know if this is totally true or not, but I just heard this, that the guys in Lynyrd Skynyrd never agreed on what key Sweet Home Alabama's in. So that's why I think one of the guitar solos is in D and one of the guitar solos is in G. That's what I heard, is that they didn't agree what key they was in, which is kind of funny. So there are some times where, and this is fun to do, like if put on a vamp, put on a backing track or something that's just holding down like a C chord. Now it's up to you. You could make that C whatever. So meaning you could play in C major. Over that C chord, but you could C Lydian. Wish I could keep this going. Right, you could get more of a Lydian sound using that scale, or I could use mixed Lydian. So you're making that C chord have some different sounds depending on the mode that you use. Again, if there's not other chords to kind of solidify it into a certain key. I actually don't use loop pedals when I practice. I've never owned a loop pedal. Yeah, I'd usually just use backing tracks because they're a little bit more fun, and yeah, it's just kind of fun to play over. But I don't use looper pedal. All right, here's another backing track that has the Ibanez gem as the thumbnail. So now I'm naturally curious. See what it sounds like. Let's see. Kind of cool. I want to see like where this goes. pretty fun. That was pretty cool. This is what I enjoy doing every night, just jamming over backing tracks, having fun. Yeah, that one didn't really have a Steve vibe to it, but hey, the Ibanez Gem thumbnail made me click on it, so it worked. Oh, did I slip out of tune here? Too much whammy bar fun. Well, I appreciate you staying with us, Daniel. I'm sorry if you're tired after work, but thank you for joining. Now I wish I knew the riff for Everybody's Working for the Weekend. I did a cover of the Cliffs of Dover intro a couple years ago now, like when I first started doing some content stuff. I don't think I'd remember much of it now. That's that's a tough one to just pull out of nowhere. Okay, now that I've said that, I kind of want to see if see if I can find it here. I had to search it up. I had to search just for Daniel because he's joining us here tonight. Something like that. Watch me get a copyright strike just for that riff, but it's so good. It's such a good riff. Any chance we'll ever get a recording yourself video, like one that goes through how to set up a DAW and actually have a good tone for vids or streams? I could absolutely. A lot of my videos, like the covers and stuff that you see me post, are actually, I always like keeping things really real simple. So it's usually very simple setups. I've kind of changed it a little bit recently, getting the Victory amp. Um, I have a Mac computer, so everything up till now has been GarageBand, just using free GarageBand on Mac and recording audio into there. You can put like the backing track if you are using one in there. You can use plugins like the Neural DSP stuff like I'm using right now. Just goes directly into GarageBand. Now what I'm doing though is I actually mic the Victory behind me there. So I have a SM57 miking the cab, and that's why I do a lot of the recording stuff during the day, so I can be a little bit louder and mic the amp, and then still into GarageBand, and then with the amp, like I posted, what was it the other day? Darn, what did I? Oh, the Mark Tremonti solo, Alter Bridge solo that I just posted. That is the Victory amp. I'm plugged straight into it, no pedals or anything. And there's no touching up the signal afterwards either. There's no EQ on that in the mix. I just added a tiny bit of reverb and a little bit of delay afterwards so you can control it in the mix. If you record with reverb and delay, then through an amp, I mean, if you mic it, then you're kind of stuck with that sound, right? But if you record dry, and then you can mix things easier afterwards with reverb and delay. But that's that tone from that amp. And then I just sync it with the video afterwards in iMovie. Again, super basic, not Final Cut Pro or any of those, just iMovie. Do you know that one? Do you know that riff? I forget which harmonics he hits there. Anyone recognize it? I'm not a half step down, so it might sound a little bit different. Know that one? That's one of my favorites. I love that song. I actually don't have a lot of books for guitar. I don't even when I teach, I don't use a lot of books. My teaching, it's always geared to the student one-on-one and what's best for that student. So, um, I don't have any set like curriculum or anything like that when I teach either. I've been asked a lot to do like courses and to put together a course, and I might in the future, but with me, I like having that kind of one-on-one interaction and finding what is best for that student. So I don't usually use a lot of books. When it comes to theory as well, my general advice with learning theory on the guitar is just trying to learn as many different perspectives as you can. So there's not a one size fits all approach to theory. Even when it comes to say like knowing your scales across the fretboard, there's not a one size fits all type thing. Some people would say, oh, you have to learn the cage system, or you have to learn triads, or you have to learn your scales vertically and horizontally. And the actual best answer is you have to do all of that. You have to learn all of those things, right? If you learn any one of those things, then you're kind of restricted to what that system gives you, what that system makes comfortable to play. Because if I solo in cage shapes, then I'm going to stick to what's natural and comfortable in cage shapes. If I solo with triads, then I'm going to stick to like what's comfortable with triads or arpeggios or 3 note per string or, any of that stuff, right? So if you have all of those approaches or just as many as you can, then your playing doesn't get kind of stuck. It would be kind of like playing in a pentatonic scale and only a pentatonic scale ever. You're going to do a lot of the same stuff over time, right? And you're going to play a lot of the same things. So if you had a wider library or vocabulary of scales, then there's more for you to draw from, right? So it's the same thing with theory and getting into the fretboard and all that kind of stuff. Can you play more Jason Becker? Oh man, you guys are putting me on the spot here. Do I attempt some Jason Becker? All right, this may not go well, but let's try at least what I know. See how this goes. And first I'm going to see if there's a good backing track. I know that segment off the top of my head, but I don't know the whole thing. That wasn't too bad for the first try. That's tough to just like pull Jason Becker in. You know which one I wish I still remembered is the I shouldn't play this with a distorted tone, but I haven't played that in like years, so I'm trying to like revisit it a little bit, but I love that piece, Air by Jason Becker. If you guys haven't heard of it. Anyone know that riff? Why was there no EVH in Sultans of Shred? Yeah, you know what's funny is I did two other like shred versions. I did a shred version of Hotel California, which was removed off of YouTube with a copyright strike. So thanks a lot, Eagles. I mean, it's still live on TikTok though. You can see it on there. And then I did a While My Guitar Gently Shreds video, and both of those started off with EVH. And so with the Sultans of Shred, the funny thing was I just wanted to try to do something a little bit different so it didn't sound too much like the other ones. And so I used some different guitar players than Eddie. And then I got so many comments being like, why is there no Eddie Van Halen? It's like, well, there usually is. It's just, he's my number one favorite guy. So it's like, yeah, if there's going to be anyone, then it's going to be Eddie. Next time I do one. I have seen that version of Showtime. It is absolutely nuts. That solo is insane. I don't even know. Darn, I got the solo pretty well, and then I screwed up the rhythm. I can't remember the riff now. Oh my god, that's annoying. Maybe? It's close, but yeah, that's the Showtime by David Lee Roth with Jason Becker on guitar, which is just insane. Oh man, I've seen a lot of that Jason Becker stuff back in the day, and yeah, he's Jason would probably be my second favorite out of like my top 5, I would say, behind Eddie. And yeah, Jason he's the whole package: composition, technical ability, just the whole package, nuance of playing. The way Jason Becker uses the whammy bar kind of reminds me of like Jeff Beck, and it's very expressive the way he uses it, and his bends are just beautiful as well. So yeah, Jason, he is not just your average shredder, if that makes sense, of someone who can just play scales and arpeggios super fast, but he is and showmanship, yeah, absolutely. But he is the whole package. And also, like Eddie, what I love about him is, back in the day when he was performing live and stuff, like he just looked like he was having so much fun playing the guitar. And that's one of the things that, I love about Eddie. Eddie never looked like he was, going through the motions, or he never even looked like he was trying to play something. He just looked like he was just having so much fun playing the guitar. So, I try to do that myself in my covers and stuff like that, and just kind of exude that fun of playing the guitar. And that's why we all pick up the guitar in the first place, is to have fun and play some music that we all love and everything. So it's easy to kind of go down that road where everything just becomes like technical efficiency and um, it's like marksmanship for guitar, but it's just you're just having fun. You know what I mean? Like just playing. Yeah, Dime absolutely was like that. Dime, Eddie, it's infectious when you watch them play the guitar. It looks like the greatest thing in the world, which it is. And those guys give it the great reputation of being the most amazing instrument there is, in my opinion. But Dime absolutely as well. I'm from Canada. I'm just outside of Toronto. Yeah. Repping Canada. Yeah, Jason could absolutely put emotion or feel and expression into shred pieces. I think again with Jason, like, he used shred as a high intensity expression. I say the same thing about early Yngwie stuff. When I watch Yngwie back in the 80s, he is, he's one of the greatest to ever play it. He really is. It was this fiery passion, expressiveness that came through in Yngwie's playing. Back then, Yngwie wasn't just like, it's not just a, hey, check out how fast these scales are, or hey, check out what I'm practicing recently. Like, he just had this unbelievable skill and speed on the guitar that came across as this like fiery, crazy personality. Similar to Eddie, similar to those Dime, like they had these like wild personalities that came through on their guitar playing. I wouldn't say Dimebag is a shredder, but he absolutely does. If you know what I mean. Like Dime, it's just the way he played the guitar. It was just that wild intensity, right? It's not a, hey, check this out, Opinions on Polyphia. I think Tim Henson is one of the most exciting and interesting guitar players to come out in the last, I don't know, 15 years, 10, 15 years, maybe. Like, yeah, I think Tim Henson, what he's done for guitar, the amount of people he's inspired to either start guitar in the first place or take their guitar playing to a new level because of his inspiration. I think he's incredible. I think Tim Henson also has that natural sense of melody, like an Eddie Van Halen or a Hendrix or someone like that, where like, Tim Henson does some really crazy, flashy stuff, but it's very musical. It's very melodic. He has that nuance in his playing that you want to listen to it. There's a lot of those. I hate the term like math rock and that shred and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of those players who play that kind of math rocky style, but they don't really sound like Tim Henson. Tim Henson has that kind of special quality where I think with him it comes from a more pure place of, instead of just technical showmanship, it's like it's this really interesting melody that he comes up with. So I think he's awesome. I have nothing but respect for Tim Henson, and his ability on the guitar is outstanding, and his contribution to the guitar has been really amazing to see. Now, I do have to run in a few minutes here, guys, but if you guys have any other questions or anything, learning-wise, tutorial-wise, I'm happy to answer before I go, or if I should end it off with another jam. I do appreciate all of you joining me tonight and just chatting and having some fun. I wasn't sure if I was going to jump on tonight. I had a little bit of a headache before, but I was like, nah, let's go have some fun. Show us your favorite shred lick. Man, that's a tough one. I can show you one of them. I'm trying to think if there's anything off the top of my head that is like my favorite shred lick. Okay, there's one that I did years and years and years ago that I was proud of. I thought it was kind of cool. And let's see if I remember. Oh my god. Now it also, especially with shred stuff, it all depends on the context. So it's like the context in the song that it was used in added to how cool it sounded. But it was this little like arpeggio thing where at the time what I thought was cool about it was I went up one arpeggio, and then when I tap, my left hand switches position. So when I pull off from the tap, my hand's doing something different. That was one of my favorite licks years ago. I just thought that, and again, I thought it sounded cool. It was kind of a musical thing that I used. Favorite shred lick. It's always the ones that sound the best are my favorite. You know, stuff like that. Like that sounds cool. You know, I like it. I try to do these live streams like maybe every other weekend or something like that. I usually do them Saturday night, but I thought I'd jump on here instead tonight. But usually I try like maybe every other weekend to jump on and do a live stream with you guys. Yeah, I get asked that question about improv and phrasing all the time, and I don't want to spend too much time repeating what I've done in the last couple live streams, so I would encourage you to go check those out just in case you haven't seen them. And I also cover a ton of phrasing stuff on my Patreon page, so you could always check that out and sign up for a free trial and check out some of the lessons. With phrasing, you know, there's so many different suggestions when it comes to making your phrasing better and stuff. Really quickly, a couple things what I would say is make sure to try to learn as much music as possible. So if you're working on soloing, learn as many solos as you can where you can actually pick apart what they're doing. You can see what scales they're in, what key they're in. So you can actually extract ideas from them to put into your own phrasing. So when I'm doing an improv thing, I can kind of draw little influences or inspirations from some of my favorite guitar players. It may not even come through in the solo to the listener that it's like, oh, that's kind of what so-and-so did. But at least that's where I got it from, right? That's where I got the influence from, right? So learn as much music as you possibly can, learn as many solos as you can, and kind of extract literally anything that sounds cool to you in the solo. Try to figure out why it sounds cool. What note are they playing? What chord are they over? Is that what's making it sound cool? Is it a technical thing that they're doing? Like, just try to learn as much as you can. And then my other suggestion would be when you're improvising, it's really hard, and I don't succeed at this all the time, but I try my best, is you want to let your ear guide you around the fretboard and where you want to go, not your fingers. You don't want to just let the muscle memory take over and, you're soloing and I can talk and I'm going through scales and shapes and I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. And, I hate when that happens. I really do. When I'm improvising and I notice that the fingers are just taking over, it's like, this is all boring. This is all pointless, right? So try to let your ear guide you around where you start. right? So I'm a lot more tuned into the notes there as I'm playing, and it may not be as like flashy and stuff like that, but at least all the notes are played with a lot more intent. I bet you can't play anything. Is that supposed to be Taylor Swift? If not, I have no idea who that is. Let's go back to a clean tone here. And if it is Taylor Swift, of course I know some Taylor Swift. Are you kidding me? I love that riff. That's a great guitar riff. I swear if I get a copyright strike for playing that for like 10 seconds. I really hope not. All right, guys, I do have to jump off here in a minute, but I appreciate you guys all joining me tonight. And it was a lot of fun. Every time I do this, I always tell myself I'm gonna jump on for like half an hour. I'm gonna, and it always turns out to be like way longer, almost like an hour and a half now. So it's always so much fun, like, hanging out with you guys and talking guitar and talking favorite guitar players and all that kind of stuff. So I do appreciate you all joining me. If you guys want more lesson stuff and also more direct access to me, you can check out the Patreon page, sign up for a free trial. I post weekly lesson videos and a lot more on there. And you even have the ability now to take one-on-one lessons with me from time to time when I have some availability. So check that out if you're interested, but I do appreciate you guys joining me, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you.